AgweekTV, presented by Peterson Farm Seed.
Bean growers learn the latest tips and trends for growing better beans at the annual Northarvest Bean Day. Agweek's Mikkel was there and reports on some of the challenges growers are facing this year.
Northarvest Bean Day is the day that growers get a good look at 2016 and the issues they'll face in the market and in technology. Bean breeding, pests, and acreage competition are the top things on their mind.
Our markets are saturated today with, we grow 14 classes in the United States, every one of them are in a carryover position. We don't dare grow any more than we did in years past. We basically want everybody to understand that stability is the game right now. They just got to keep their foot in the door and not overdo it this coming year.
We saw a lot of bacterial blight. I think almost every field in the state had bacterial blight. The next thing is white mold. So we actually saw a little less white mold than a lot of people expected. The last is rust, and we saw a lot more rust. 60 to 70% of the fields had some level of rust. So I think if it's warm and dry and growers maybe don't spray as much for white mold, I think rust is something that we could see a lot more of. We had a good year in 2015. I mean, there's disease pressure every year. You can't get away from that. But in general, we didn't have a lot of train wrecks.
Since 2009, a team led by NDSU bean breeder Juan Osorno has been developing a slow-darkening pinto bean for the region. If there are no unexpected snags, commercial growers may have access to it as early as 2017.
North Dakota beans always have kind of a bad reputation of being too dark when you compare them to a bean from Nebraska or Idaho or Washington. And that causes sometimes price penalties when they're trying to market the beans. With this new trade, we hope that that's not going to be the case again. After all these years of effort, we have something that looks promising.
Profit potential for all crops is going to be difficult in 2016. Edible bean growers are hoping that too many growers won't go into edible beans to make their crop less profitable. For Agweek TV, this is Mikkel.
We'll have more on beans, specifically the bright future for lentils, in next week's show. The South Dakota Corn Growers Association marked its 30th annual meeting this month. Top issues they face include ethanol and environmental regulations, but the most pressing challenge may be prices and marketing. One of the speakers, commodity broker Brian Splitt, had some advice to navigate the upcoming marketing season. He says one of the most important things for growers to do is to manage the carry. Additional bin space may be making producers hold on to grain rather than sell it, but he warns that just because you have the bin space doesn't mean you have to use it.
If we see a market similar to 2012 where, for example, the price of December corn was at an inverse, so that means it's above the price for the following July, the market's telling you it wants your grain right now, and you can, if you still want to re-own that grain, you have the opportunity to sell it in the front month and still maintain ownership of it at a period down the road at a cheaper price. So just things that you have to be mindful of, especially in the margin environment that we're in right now, as margins have tightened over the last several years.
Another concern is the EPA's controversial Waters of the U.S. rule. It's in legal limbo now, but speakers urged growers to be proactive in protecting themselves against over-regulation.
They can choose to do their voluntary programs. They can choose to keep good records. They can choose to let their legislators know what they're doing and basically toot their own horn. All of these practices they do on their own without any help from any legislatures or county or state money is a feather in their cap.
The growers also discussed their drive to get E30 fuel on the market.